My name is Daniel Mercer, and this is the story of how everything was taken from me. I used to believe that if you worked hard, kept your head down, and treated people right, life would do the same for you. I was wrong. In less than 6 months, I lost my job, my reputation, my home, and the woman I thought I'd grow old with. And the worst part? I didn't even see it coming. I was 39 years old, a senior financial analyst at a mid-sized tech firm in downtown Chicago. Corner office, glass walls, a parking space with my name on it. I wasn't rich, but I was comfortable. I had a house in Naperville, a golden retriever named Scout, and a fiancée named Rebecca who liked to remind everyone that I was the stable one. I was proud of that. Stability meant something to me. I grew up in a small Ohio town where my dad worked at the same factory for 27 years until it shut down overnight. I watched what losing a job did to a man. I promised myself I'd never let that happen to me. And then it did. It started with a meeting. Monday morning, conference room B. The blinds were half closed, cutting the sunlight into sharp stripes across the table. My boss, Mark Ellison, sat at the head. He wouldn't look at me. HR was there too. That's when I knew. "Daniel," Mark said, folding his hands like he was about to pray, "we've uncovered some irregularities in the quarterly reports." Irregularities. I laughed at first. I actually laughed. "I wrote those reports," I said. "Every number is backed up." Mark slid a folder across the table. Inside were printed emails, screenshots, bank transfers. My name was on them. Only I had never seen them before. According to the documents, I had manipulated projections to inflate company value ahead of a merger. I had allegedly accepted consulting payments from a shell vendor, $50,000. My stomach dropped so hard I thought I might pass out. "This is fake," I said. My voice didn't sound like mine anymore. "Someone doctored this." HR cleared her throat. "We've verified the email metadata." "No," I whispered. But yes. By Friday, I was escorted out with a cardboard box, my security badge deactivated before I even reached the elevator. Word spreads fast in corporate America. By Monday, former colleagues weren't answering my calls. My LinkedIn was filled with quiet removals, connections disappearing. Rebecca tried to be supportive at first. She made tea, she held my hand, but suspicion is contagious. "You swear you didn't take the money?" she asked one night, her voice small but sharp. "Of course I didn't." She nodded, but something in her eyes had shifted. An internal investigation turned into a formal one. Then came the civil suit. The company needed a scapegoat to protect the merger, and I was perfect. Mid-level executive, enough authority to be believable, not powerful enough to fight back. My lawyer, a tired man with nicotine-stained fingers, told me quietly, "They're building a narrative, and it's a strong one." I sold my car to pay his retainer. The case never made it to a dramatic trial. I settled. I didn't admit guilt, but the settlement statement might as well have carved it into my forehead. In America, you don't need a conviction to be ruined. You just need doubt. Rebecca left 3 weeks later. "I can't marry someone under investigation," she said. "My family, my job, it's too much." Too much. She moved out while I was at the grocery store. When I came home, half the closet was empty. The engagement photos were gone. Scout sat by the door, confused. That night, I sat on the kitchen floor and stared at the blank wall where our future framed used to hang. I didn't cry. Not yet. The house went next. Without my salary, I fell behind fast. I tried applying for new positions, but every interview ended the same way. "We'll be in touch." They never were. I watched my savings evaporate like water on hot pavement. I sold the house at a loss. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment off Route 59, the kind with flickering hallway lights and neighbors who never make eye contact. My name was no longer Daniel Mercer, respected analyst. It was Daniel Mercer, accused fraud. And then, one night, everything snapped into focus. I was sitting in my dark apartment, laptop open, scrolling through old company press releases, and there it was, a photo from the merger announcement party. Mark Ellison, smiling wide, champagne in hand. Standing next to him was Greg Halpern. Greg, my former colleague, the only person besides me with full access to those financial models. Greg, who had been passed over for promotion the year before. Greg, who had once told me, half joking, one day I'll have that corner office. In the photo, Greg wasn't just smiling, he was glowing. 2 weeks after my termination, he had been promoted to senior director, my old title. I zoomed into the image, and I saw it. On his wrist, the watch, a limited edition Omega, $50,000, the same amount as the consulting payment. My heart began to pound, slow and steady. Not rage, clarity. I pulled up the fake emails from my case files, studied the phrasing. Certain words felt off. I remembered Greg's writing style. He overused dashes, loved certain corporate buzzwords. I went back through old internal emails Greg had sent me over the years, and there it was. The same phrases, the same patterns. He hadn't just framed me, he had written me. For weeks, I didn't sleep much. I wasn't plotting violence, I was studying. Greg was careful, but no one is perfect. I built timelines, compared server access logs. I requested, through legal channels still available to me, copies of archived metadata. Most requests were denied, but one wasn't. A small oversight. One backup server record showed login credentials used to draft the manipulated documents. The login ID wasn't mine. It was a generic admin account, and that admin account had been accessed from Greg's office after hours. I needed more, so I did something I hadn't done in years. I went back to school. Community college cybersecurity course, night classes, cheap coffee, hood up, anonymous. If someone had weaponized technology against me, I would learn how to disarm it. 6 months turned into a year. I worked odd jobs, warehouse shifts, data entry, anything to survive. But at night, I studied. I learned about digital footprints, shadow backups, audit trails people forget exist. Greg was thriving. I followed his career online. Promotions, speaking engagements, articles about ethical leadership. It almost made me laugh. Almost. The final piece came from an unlikely place, a former IT contractor named Luis. I found him through an old invoice in my files. We met at a diner off I-88. He recognized me immediately. "You got screwed," he said quietly. I nodded. Luis had installed a temporary remote access tool during the merger transition. He had mentioned it casually in an old email. I asked him if that tool logged user sessions. His eyes widened slightly. "It did," he said, "but those logs weren't part of the main archive." "Where are they?" He hesitated. Then he told me. "Stored on a secondary cloud account used only during the merger week. Inactive. Forgotten." It took me 3 weeks and every skill I had learned to access that archive legally through a public records request tied to the merger's regulatory filings. When I opened the session logs, my hands were steady. Greg's credentials, admin account, time-stamped edits to the fraudulent documents, IP address matching his office. The proof wasn't dramatic, it was quiet, precise, devastating. Now came the hardest part, patience. I didn't storm into the police station. I didn't post it online. I went higher. The merger had involved federal oversight, securities regulators. I compiled everything into a meticulous digital report, timelines, screenshots, metadata, cross-references. I hired a new attorney, not a tired one, a hungry one. We submitted the evidence to federal investigators anonymously at first, then formally. Investigations take time. Another 6 months. Greg kept smiling in public. Until one Tuesday morning, news broke. Senior director at Chicago tech firm under investigation for financial misconduct. His name was there, clear as day. The company suspended him immediately. This time they didn't wait. Regulators dug deeper. Once they found one manipulation, others surfaced. Greg hadn't just framed me, he'd been skimming from multiple projects. Greed always grows. Mark Ellison claimed ignorance. Emails surfaced showing he had ignored internal red flags. The board panicked. Stock prices dipped. Suddenly, I wasn't the villain anymore. I was the man who had been wronged. The company's legal team reached out. They wanted to discuss a resolution. I met them in a downtown office overlooking the river, the same building where I once worked. Different room, different side of the table. They offered a public statement clearing my name, financial restitution, a settlement large enough to erase my debts and then some.